What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the vlog. Today we're working on the 2015 the 1LE. So I did pick up a set of skirts for this car, and I kind of hinted that in the last video, but we're going to install these things today. Now I do have to take some time and clean up this area where these are going to bolt to, but basically these are also a set of skirts from Icon, and you can find these on their website as well as eBay, Amazon. There's a few other places where they're sold. So as far as price wise, they're not too bad. They're around the $200 mark, but I haven't seen anybody really running these things all that much, so I was going to give them a try because I'm one to try different things, and we're going to see how they bolt up. Now as far as mounting to the body, it actually looks like the mold's pretty good. I'm halfway impressed. So you're going to get a look kind of like this, and it actually gives you kind of an alignment tab, if you will, where it's cut out on the bottom of the body. I'm going to get under the lift here and show you guys what we're talking about. But you can see the cutout right there and the cutout in the actual side skirt. You're going to match those two up. So as far as mounting these up, you can kind of see how they work. It's going to go boom right there. It looks like this mold is really good, guys. I'm halfway impressed. So far. Now I have no clue what it looks like up top, and we'll know more about it later once we get them on, but a couple of things to be aware of when you get your skirts. These skirts are kind of flexible like, so they do offer carbon, and I will admit that now that I've ordered the plastic, it is kind of flexible. Once you bolt this up, I know it's not going to be that flexible, and it will be a lot more rigid, but just honestly, going back and doing it over, I probably would have gotten carbon skirts. They're like $200 more, but I think honestly, they're probably going to be a lot more durable and probably going to hold up better. But for me, I was just really skeptical about the fitment, so I wanted to try the plastic first to see how I liked it. Plus, I mean, to be honest, guys, the 1LE has no carbon on it from the factory. So keeping that in mind, I thought, well, let's just make it match everything. So that's kind of the idea here, was just do a matte black. I didn't really need to spend the extra money for me, but I will say from a durability standpoint, I would probably recommend carbon just because these are a little bit flexible. All right, guys, I went ahead and prepped the surface. Everything looks really good. I just used Dawn and some soapy water. Got all the muck off because this is typically an area that's kind of hard to clean, the car being so low, so I was able to get most of it out. There is still a few like huge chunks from I guess a huge rock or two come up and hit it, mostly at the front. The rear looks really good, and then I dried it. Now I'm just kind of letting the fans run and get everything nice and dry before we go and stick our adhesive on. But what I did want to show you was kind of the layout for these skirts. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a strip of adhesive not on this side but on this side, and we're going to increment it. So we're going to have some here, here, here. Everywhere in between the pads you're going to have adhesive, and then we're going to use those clips down here on the bottom. So just kind of fill you guys in on that and let you know how we're going to do this. If you're wondering, I did actually dip these, and the reason I chose to dip them, as you can tell, it's sort of a textured satin finish. And one thing I decided to do over the vinyl wrap was that this is actually textured here too on the back of the car, and it has that sort of textured plastic appearance, and that's kind of what the Plasti Dip actually did for me on these, was a textured sort of appearance. So that's what we're going to roll with on these, and I can always pull these off and have them wrapped if I decide to, but for now I think this is going to be the way to go. It has the same sort of look as the rear bumper, so nothing flashy here, just want to make it look as much like it came like that as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the tape on, and then we'll start sticking these things on, and we'll run our clips and bolts in, of course, and move to the other side. So I'm going to get busy on that. So I've got the tape laid out, and this is how I decided to do it, was in between sort of each of these little pads. Should give it plenty of hold. Did the other side the same way, so this should be pretty straightforward. Probably going to get some assistance setting this on the car now, and then once we get it on the car, we're going to install our clips here, and that should make a huge difference. Hopefully it's pretty rigid. If it's not, I am going to actually flip these over and put a bracket. You can see how wobbly these are when they're not on the car. I may actually come in here and put a bracket in it and bolt that to the bottom of the chassis. So that's going to stiffen these up a lot. So that's just in case. We may or may not need it, but that's where I'm at. I'm going to throw these on, and I'm going to give you guys like a durability test, and we'll see how good they are once they're bolted down and everything's in place.
Just a little bit on the large side
All right, guys, so just kind of test fitting this thing, and here's how we've mocked this up with some little clips in place, some hold downs, and we've marked on each side where we're going to drill, and we are going to use clips. We actually ended up having some clips from the 67, so they're retro, throwback, old school first gen Camaro clips going on the 5th gen. Don't really mean a whole lot, but it looks great. Side skirt is going to be awesome, and the fit is really good. I'm actually pretty impressed with how it hugs the body. Now underneath the tabs are off a little bit, but I mean that's not a huge deal breaker. But this thing looks pretty good, guys. I'm pretty impressed with it. Now that looks a lot better than stock. And down underneath, this is what I'm talking about, just off just a little bit. You can see, not a huge deal though. I mean, but what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna put clips everywhere we can. Everywhere that it's hanging down, we're gonna be able to put a clip, and we're actually gonna have a screw to match. So it's gonna have a clip and a screw, and then there's gonna be a couple places here on this back side. We're gonna use 3M adhesive tape on this side, because you can see how flexible it's gonna be. And then if you put your 3M tape on there, it's gonna be a whole lot more rigid. So we are gonna use the 3M tape. But we come across some of these screws, and I just couldn't help but share this. So if you guys are in a parts store, I'm sure you can find these things anywhere. But the screws that we're going to be using are this style. These are old. I mean, these are really old, you can tell, but they're not destroyed by any means. Some of them are a little nicer than others, just depending on where they's at. But and then we've got some, plenty of screws, plenty of retainers and clips, so we've got enough stuff here to work with, and we're going to be able to make it work with what we got. But this is how we're going to bolt them on. Some people are saying to just use normal screws through it, but we're going to try the clip idea and see if it holds up a little bit better. That way you're not going through the plastic, you're actually holding it with a piece of metal behind it, sort of as a retainer like that. So that'll be a whole lot better than just drilling through your plastic. So you won't destroy your skirts if you ever have a reason to take them back off. It won't completely destroy them. So anyways, we're going to go ahead, prep the panels, get our 3M tape out, and start drilling for these little clips. Lines up pretty good, not too bad. We're going to put a few clips and screws in it, but it actually works out pretty good. You put your 3M tape on this side, guys, and that's the real trick, is to get the tape here. And then you can press against it, and it holds pretty good. I got to wipe them off, so. But yeah, you can see the fitment on these things isn't half bad. So that's an Icon skirt, by the way. If I didn't already say it in the beginning of this video, it is an Icon skirt. You can get them off eBay, Amazon, places like that, but I'm fairly impressed with that. We're gonna put our clips in now and lower the thing down and show you guys the finished product. This side went together real smoothly too. As you can see, that it does miss a line just a little bit, and you will see a little bit of variation. So you've got just a little bit of clearance here in the front. Same way here. This one might be back just a touch further than the other side, but it's really hard to do this by yourself. So, two people working together, I'd highly recommend getting a buddy to help you set these on, and then scribe your lines too. That's one thing we did. We scribed lines right here so we can see where we were needed to go, and man, that helped a ton. So we're gonna put the clips in now. I'll show you guys that, and then set it down. And it's actually pretty durable. I'm pretty surprised. It's actually not bad, guys. It holds up pretty well. So drilling the last one for the clip, and I just wanted to show you guys how this works, but basically you're just drilling a clearance hole. Might hear a slight pop when it gets through. Just like that. And this is how we done the other one. We use these nice little Phillips head. Of course, you got the trusty snap-on. And this is the best way to do it. So you get 3 of these things in there, and it's not going anywhere. There you go. Now, check out how rigid. Hardly flexes at all. So two things that we've got going on here. The first thing is the tape. You guys saw us put the tape on there. You see no gap at all. I mean, this is like factory looking. And then underneath is really neat. You got these nice little clips holding this in. So this thing is really rigid. You know, it's not going to give you any trouble. And it looks fantastic. So there you go, guys. I have yet to do the other side. I'm going to go ahead and finish drilling, knocking the clips on in. And then after that, I'll lower it down and we'll give her a look here and see how things turned out. I'm pretty happy with them though. There's not really a gap at all. I mean, that is just awesome. I'm just super happy with these. I had my doubts. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I had my doubts when I first put them on, but man, they look great. I mean, just awesome. So I'm gonna finish this up real quick and give you guys a final look. All right, guys, I wanted to go ahead and add a few more self-tappers in here. The 3 that we put in with the clips, they do work well, and I definitely recommend using the clips. However, there is a point where you have to go to a self-tapper and you can't use a clip. So keep in mind, the self-tapper, you can't really over-tighten these because you're going to just pull the threads out, and that's the advantage of the clip. So you guys will say, oh, well, I just self-tap it. Okay, that's fine, but these right here hold tighter, and you can see it's pinching really tight on this thing. So I told you guys I had 3 in there. I ended up going ahead and putting 2 more. So we ended up doing actually 6 for a total. Actually, I put 1 here too. I forgot about that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per side. And I read on the forums and a lot of the guys were recommending to go 6 on these. So that's what I ended up doing, is putting 6 of them in it. So you've got 1 here at the back. That's keeping this really good and tight. And I was really worried about this right here. Now that's pretty rigid with these extra screws in it. So I put 1 here right at basically at the midpoint of this where it kicks out. Put 1 at the back. And I did the same thing over here on this side. Put 1 here at the midpoint and 1 at the back. So that's pretty sturdy. They're really rigid, and I think we're good here, guys. That's just, I wanted to kind of show you guys this extra little step that we did, and I think it's worthwhile to do this and take the time and put these bolts all the way in here, because I'm telling y'all, I mean, there's nothing worse than showing up at a car show and you got stuff hanging off or stuff that's just flopping around, or if there's a gap and you can start to see daylight. I mean, this is awesome. It pulls up super tight. You can't even tell. So enough of that. Let's get this thing on the ground, because I know you guys are dying to see what these actually look like. So I just wanted to go over that with y'all. I just felt like, you know, if you're going to put these on, take the extra effort and buy the clips, do the self-tappers where you have to, and use the clips everywhere else. It's totally worth it. So let's get this thing on the ground. Alright guys, I was just about to show you guys these skirts, and I wanted to go over one other thing. If you are putting this car on a lift, notice the fact that I double stack my blocks. It's still almost not enough to get this thing out from here. Look how close. I'm actually having to pull this out so I can get around that and then pull it back in. So just beware. I don't know where you're going to do this at, if you're going to do it on the ground or whatever. Get the thing up on blocks. Now I've got about 5 inches, maybe 4 inches of block there. What you'll want to do is go about 6 or 7. So these little blocks here, you'll want to go a little higher than that with them. Get the car up at least 6 to 8 inches off the ground after you put your skirts on, because you're going to lose that much ground clearance when you do a skirt. See, look here at the back. I'm going to pull this in. Now luckily, mine will index down. Right now it's actually trapped, and the pads I've got will index down. I may actually be in trouble here. Look how close. If I didn't have that gap there, I couldn't get my forks out from underneath the car. So just beware of that. And then the other thing, don't just drive off of these blocks. You're going to crack all the handiwork you just did. Put another set of blocks behind the other one, so when you drive off, it's a nice gradual descent. Elsewise, the car will slam down on the ground and you probably will lose a side skirt. But there's the look. I'm going to get this thing all the way out of the garage and back it out and show you guys the full effect here. But let me build my little rig to get this thing off. Alright guys, skirts are on. Car's chopping. They look but man, it sits low. I'll just warn you guys, these skirts will make your car sit so low on the side. I think they look fantastic, but man, that's just a lot of, it sits really, really low. So I'm gonna have to watch it like everywhere I go in this thing, guys. It's gonna be really cautious everywhere. I mean, it's just how it is. But overall, I like the look, man. It's definitely a change of pace for this car. Just a whole different look, man. That is just so wild. I love that look. It kind of makes it almost want to be a Z28. Almost. It's as close as you can get to a Z28 without being a Z28. I may actually do the big front splitter as well just to top this thing off. But anyways, guys, just wanted to kind of give you a look at this and give you an overview of the install and everything. Turned out pretty good, I gotta say. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I'll probably keep these on here, actually. I'm a bit impressed with how it turned out. So anyways, guys, if you haven't done it already, be sure and subscribe. Check out all the other videos on the Camaro. I've got some really cool stuff coming up for it. Actually gonna work on that this week for you guys. Going down south to pick them up, and then we'll be doing a full install and review of the newest thing I'm putting on the car. I don't want to spoil it because this is a huge thing. But there you go, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.